Zymorven Hall, Zymorven Hall, Zymorven Hall is where we are now. Adventure seekers on the rove and road, journey ever deeper towards their noble goal. What's this before them? Bodies bloody and torn, people of the forest, weedings from what's worn, destroyed by giants. There is no doubt our destination is within a shout. Zymorven Hall, Zymorven Hall, Zymorven Hall is where we are now. Zymorven Hall, Zymorven Hall, Zymorven Hall is where we are now. Evidence of giants running wild all over the dale. Our mission, an important one. What happens if we fail? We come to find a mighty blade and fulfill the promise as we made. The adventure continues.
You can't see much, but you can see that then suddenly, like, a pair of eyes come up to this slit, and you hear a man's voice from the other side and says, "Hello there. What do you want?"
Good day. Is this Zymorven Hall?
It be Zymorven Hall. Yep.
Very, very good. The exact place that we're looking for. You see,
So, just quickly, what's the distance between us and this? The distance.
So the moat is about 10 foot.
So we could talk across it. It's not shouty across sort of thing.
No.
Okay. Krill shouts across. I like your bell. That's it.
Yeah, if you could start ringing it, that'd be great.
Krill stops ringing
I
it,
can,
but he holds onto the rope just in case it's needed.
Okay, just in case the rope's needed. Okay.
The whole setup might be needed.
Okay. Yeah, this be Zymorven. Sorry. What do you want? I've been distracted by this bloody bell keep going off.
Don't worry, haven't we all? Yes, we've come here because we've learned that you may possibly have something that we're interested in.
Sorry, are you looking for the Lord himself?
Yes. Your lord. Sorry, I didn't know who you were. I can only see your eyes. So.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the name's Dirk.
Dirk.
I'm sort of groundsman around here.
Oh, nice to meet you, Dirk. And how are you on this fine, sunny afternoon?
Yeah, I'm fine. You says you want to see the Lord. He's got something for you. Is he expecting you? He's not saying anything to himself.
I don't believe he is expecting us, but he will be wanting to take our call. So if you could just let him know that we're here.
Can you call back between office hours?
Well, it is office hours. It's 3 in the afternoon.
Oh no, not for the Lord. He clocks off at 3 on a Friday.
It's Thursday.
Oh right, I've lost track of days. Sometimes Allison's up here in the north. Right. Well, he's not expecting you, and you want something from him. You can. It's a bit suspicious, don't you think?
No. My friend sometimes gets confused. We've travelled a very long way. We've come from Silvery Moon. We have been told of the great hospitality of the Lord of Zymorven Hall, and a friend of ours, an acquaintance of ours, all the way back in Tribor, spoke with tremendous affection for the Lord of Zymorven Hall, and said that if we were ever to pass by, we should speak to the Lord. And he spoke of the fame of the tales that the Lord tells, and his hospitality, and what a wonderful place it was. So as we were coming past, we thought it would be remiss of us to continue to ride straight past without stopping to pass on our best wishes to the Lord.
Yes, quite. That's what I was getting at. Yes, we want his hospitality. That's what I meant. Yes.
Oh, okay, right. You said that you'd heard from him about Tribor. I'm just going to go and pop and speak to the Lord just to check everything's okay for him to let you in. But who gave you just so I can tell him where his recommendations come from?
That's a great question. Who actually was it that told us? Was it Durathra?
No.
Looking,
it wasn't Nars.
No.
Was it Narth?
I can tell you if you want to know.
Yeah, you may as well. It's going to be quicker than me looking through my notes.
It was Urgula.
It was Urgula Meltimer. Urgula Meltimer,
Oh.
the wonderful landlady of the Staghorn Flagon.
Yes, that is actually correct.
The North Shield House. Where was the Staghorn Flagon?
Staghorn was that your art?
No, where we've stayed.
We have stayed somewhere called the Staghorn Flagon.
No, you're playing in too many games these days, Stuart. That you just
have.
they're all blending into one. All right, okay. Just give me a few minutes. I'll go and have a word with the Lord, and if everything's tickety boo, then I'll come and let you in. And you see the thing slide back across, and you're left to your own devices as he trots off. What do you want to do whilst you're waiting? Anything?
The first thing that I would like to do is to look very smugly at you, Nathan, and say, actually, the Staghorn Flagon was in this game, and it was in Amphale, so I was one town off, so shove that in your flagon and drink it.
Krill looks over to Dweezil and just says, and doesn't say anything, just sort of gives a head tilt to almost indicate, should I ring the bell?
I would suggest that. Do you remember when we were in Nightstone and the bell was ringing incessantly, Krill, and how irritating the incessant ringing of the bell was for everyone involved?
Krill in particular, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
I think it was Krill that actually went into his first ever rage to try and stop the bell from ringing.
It's different when you're on the other side of it, though, isn't it?
It's more fun.
And I'll sympathise
fun
with the goblins.
It's more fun when you're playing with your own bell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would suggest not ringing it for the moment,
Okay.
and if we wish to make more of an impact, then you can absolutely continue to ring. But for now,
You give me the nod. I'll be ready. And with that, he tightens his grip on the rope.
I'll be very careful to not nod.
You sit out here and time passes, about 10, 15 minutes. You're still waiting, which, you can tell from the outside this is a substantial property. And for him to find the person, speak to him and come back, you do get the sense that it would take that long. Eventually, you hear actually a couple of footsteps the other side before the thing slides across, and he goes, "Yep, everything seems okay. His lordship will see you now, and let me just lower the drawbridge, and you can come across." A little while, 30 seconds or so passes, and you start hearing some things moving behind the door and behind the wall, and eventually you start seeing the drawbridge come down. Eventually, it thunks into your side of the moat, and you now have access to Zymorven Hall grounds.
Excuse me, Dirk. Can you tell me the make of this bridge that I'm now standing on? Is it a dunkel?
You've got a keen eye on doors. This is indeed one of the dunkels, only the best for this family.
I thought so. Alright, whisper to the party. Yeah, they've obviously got a lot of money.
You make your way across I assume you're all going across?
Oh, 100%, yeah. We don't want to be in this giant world outside.
You make your way across, and you get to the wall. Dweezil, any guesses on the thickness of the wall in feet?
Right, we're going 30 foot high. These walls are 5 foot thick around the gate.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely nuts. Spot on. You get the other side of the wall, and you see that you see a large, massive house compared to anything you've seen thus far. Some of the houses and mansions that you've seen in some of the cities. it's not quite a castle, but it is substantial in size.
I've got a further question about the walls, sorry, just while we're here.
Yeah, go for it.
Are they like the straight up kind of walls, or are they the walls that are on a slight kind of angle back on themselves?
They are straight up walls.
Okay.
As you get this side of the wall, as I say, you see this huge house in front of you. It's very regal in its nature, very regal in its architecture. And you look around the garden, and whilst the design of it gives off that same feel, it's fair to say that its state of repair is not good. It looks, whilst now you see Dirk. He looks every bit of your typical gardener. He looks very much like the sort of guy who's very handy around the garden. He's slightly older. He's probably about 60.
What race is he?
Human.
Quinn
you can see.
holds his hand out to shake his hand.
Okay. Okay then. And he shakes your hand back. You get like a firm grip of a man who definitely works outside all his life.
Okay, Quinch is going to wink at him in that case.
I don't know what's going on here, but he winks back. One wink for me, one wink for you.
Quinch nods and thinks he's misread him and walks off.
But yeah, he's got a very sort of like, although this part of the world is colder than some of the other places you've been to. It's not freezing by any means, but as you're traveling more and more north, you can feel colder winds coming down from the more northerly parts of this world. But you can still tell that this guy has been, as I say, lives outside almost. Very leathery appearance. And he's sort of showing you through the gardens, not showing you the gardens themselves, but sort of like showing you towards the house. And as I say, you look around and everything's tended to, but it just doesn't look very good. It looks very much like it's too big for one person to deal with. And you don't see anyone else around at the moment. You see Dirk, and that's it. No guards, nothing else. You eventually get to the house, and he lets you in, and you get in, and he starts walking you through the hallways towards your destination. Very much like the garden, the inside of the house is not in a particularly good state of repair. There's quite a few cobwebs. There's quite a lot of areas that could do with some work. There's some paint peeling off. Everything just seems a bit.
Is it in a similar kind of state to Nonar's Hold or whatever it's called?
No. Nonar's Hold had the appearance of something that no one had touched. Like even the guy that was who lived there and worked there, he basically just did nothing because he didn't need to, because they were undead. He just didn't need to do anything. This is more like someone's trying, but just doesn't have the ability to keep up with the level of maintenance that it needs. As you're walking through, he's leading you through fairly silent. I mean, I don't know if you're talking to Dirk, if you're asking him any questions, but other than that, he's not necessarily asking you anything or saying anything. And as you're walking through, you get to a hallway and you start seeing some paintings on the wall. Underneath, you see some names, and there's just various Zymorphans. And as you're going from one painting to the next, you can see a familiarity amongst all of them. They all definitely look like they come from the same line of stock.
As we're kind of getting closer to our destination, is there a painting of the current master or lord of the house, or what is the nameplate underneath it?
Is that you just asking for a reminder of the name or something, or is that just?
Well, I didn't know if we knew the name. To be honest with you, I haven't got it written down. So
no, you don't. You don't. Well, you don't see most of the ones. All of the ones you see on your way in all have a couple of years on them, which you take to mean birth to death. You don't come across one which is open-ended. Eventually, the Dirk leads you through a couple more rooms. Again, all of these looking in particularly poor state. One of the things you notice is, again, Dirk is the only person you've seen so far. You've not seen any maids running around, any cleaners, anything like that. There is no one around. Eventually, you come up to some large doors. Dirk comes up to them and he just gives a light sort of knock. And then he slides them apart. You enter and you see a man in a reception room. He's not sitting on a throne or anything like that, but he's definitely holding court. He's sat on a chair, definitely there, knowing that you're about to enter and ready to receive you. You mount him. He, as you walk in, roll me. All of you roll me a perception.
3.
8.
14.
Christ,
Overall.
natural one again.
That is a D12, not a D20. There we go.
I mean, you've just failed on that alone. Just the fact that you didn't get the right
17.
dice. 17. Perhaps it was because Greg was keenly looking at the paintings, but he is the first and most likely to have noticed the fact that this guy that sat there looks very similar. You can pick up on the facial features that remind you of what you've seen in the paintings out in the hallway. It's another human man. He is how boring. That's playing a fantasy game with lots of human men. He's about. You'd guess from his age that he's probably about late 50s himself. But the one thing you note from him is that there's something about him that just looks older. Like he's quite gaunt. He looks a little malnourished. He doesn't look very much like the rest of the house. He doesn't look like he's being looked after or is looking after himself. Hair is quite wispy. He's wearing like a gown, which you would think it looks more like something you'd wear in a bedroom, not necessarily like pajamas or anything like that, but it looks like a nighttime gown that he's wearing rather than something that you'd expect him to be wearing when he's receiving guests.
Is he a big bloke?
No, quite wiry. Quite, as I say, he's a bit gaunt. There's a few, like, his under his neck, skin's a little, like...
Got a chicken neck.
Hangy. Yeah.
What's his first impressions of us lot walking through the door? Like, do we see an immediate reaction on him, by any chance?
He, as you walk through the door, he obviously heard Dirk knocking. He sort of lifts himself up and goes, "Oh, hello there. I'm Lord Zymorven Hall. I understand you're friends with Urgala. You may call me Harthos."
Do you have a nickname?
Lord.
Any pet names?
Sir.
I'm just gonna call you Half.
No, I think if you could stick to the Harthos, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dirk. You can leave us.
See you later, Dirk.
All right then, sir. If you need me, you know where I am.
I do.
May I just say, Harthos, wonderful belt you've got.
Thank you. There's not many of the lords around here have such a mechanical system.
It's exquisite. You should be very proud.
Thank you. And all of his responses seem a little tired, a little bedraggled.
Sorry,
he doesn't.
Can I ask? Are you tired? Are you a bit bedraggled? You don't seem very keen to have us here.
Oh no, it's nothing. I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm fine.
As long as we're not being like a pain or interrupting.
No.
It's nice to have people in the house.
Is it just you and Dirk and yourself in the property?
I think there's a Mary around somewhere. I think she might do the cooking from time to time. What? But yes, it's generally just myself and Dirk.
Sir Harthos, do you not have any issues with the giants around here? I mean, you're obviously well fortified, but I would have thought they would have attacked this place many a time.
Well, I mean, it's. Well, sorry, I am a little like points to Creon. So I am a little bedraggled. I'm sorry, I'm not all there these days. I just before I come to your question, Dirk mentioned that you were friends with Ursula. Is that correct?
Yes, great friend with Ursula. She has nothing but praises to sing about you and your hospitality here.
She is truly a wonderful woman. Is she still down in Tribe, or is she doing good things down there?
Oh yes, she's running quite a splendid establishment down there nowadays. You really should go and check it out for yourself. Nothing like a good hearth to warm your socks while you have some fine beers and a lovely meal.
Yes, that does sound good. She was a wonderful woman. She really was a wonderful adventurer as well. I mean, the stories I could tell you about her, the skulls that woman has cleaved in twain. She's a wonderful woman with a battle axe. But I digress. The giants. Well, we've had problems, of course. Giants and all types of creatures, really. But I think they, historically we've been okay. Is there anything? Do you know about the Zymorvens?
Only the tales of your bravery fighting the giants in history.
Yes, exactly. So
them at bay.
Yeah, so we've done quite well against the giants in the past, and so I think our name is out there as one to perhaps fear, and so yeah, they don't bother us too much.
Is that because you? I'm going to say this kind of coyly, I guess.
Is that because you have the weapon?
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Well, rumours are that the Zymorven family have some kind of giant slaying weapon.
And as you say that, he sort of sits there and he sort of sits back in his chair, and he just sort of like lets out a wry little, sort of a laugh, I guess, but not out of humour, almost out of a sort of a sad laugh. It's just like, oh, yes, the weapon. You're talking about the glaive, of course. You're talking about the giant killing glaive.
Well, I suppose. I mean, I've only heard stories of its legend. I mean, I don't even know if they were true, to be honest with you.
Oh no, I can assure you they were very true. We passed down from generation to generation the glaive, and legend had it that it could kill Anam the Allfather himself. It was that dangerous to giants, but I'm afraid you're too late by quite some distance. Were you a few years earlier, I could have pointed you to this very wall, and he sort of gestures up to this wall where you see now for the first time a plaque of sorts. You see like this large sort of wooden beam attached to the wall with a couple of like hooks. And you can see that it's fairly dusty up there. It's not been cleaned. This is where, when once I'd given up on my adventuring days, I hung up the glaive and was waiting for my poor son to take up the throne. But it no longer resides there. The irony is, it is with my son, of course.
Well, why is your son not here protecting his family home with the family weapon? Youth nowadays, you just...
It's. Do you wish to hear the sad stories of old men?
Well, perhaps we should ask Dirk to bring us in a couple of brandies, and we can sit around and exchange stories.
Krill lets out a horrifically mistimed yawn.
Yes, that is a wonderful idea. If I just hang on a second, and you see yet another bell, or actually another rope to the side of him, and you see Harthos pull on this rope, and then you hear somewhere off in the distance, you hear a bell tinkle. As you're sitting there waiting, Harthos says, "Well, we have to wait for the drink, so I guess I may as well tell you myself now. The Zymorvens are an old family. We've lived in this hall for centuries, and it's been as long back as records began. The tradition of our family is that the oldest son would go out into the world and adventure, would conquer and protect the world and do everything he could to experience everything that this world has and protect those who needed it. But when the time came, when the father of the family died, it was their duty to return home and to take up as Lord of the Manor. This happened for generation after generation. And that glaive was part of our heritage as well. As I say, we would often use it against giants when they were getting a bit boisterous, shall we say. I went out and did my duty. It's how I met the wonderful Urgula. We would travel for many years, doing our various deeds and ensuring that people felt safe in their homes.
Can I sorry to stop your wonderful speech. Can I roll insight just to when he says doing it? Were him and Urgula romantically entangled?
Give us a roll.
I got a 14, flat 14.
You get the sense there's something there. It's whether you want to push on that is another matter.
No.
You get the way he's talking about her is definitely more than friends, but you don't know whether that was a reciprocal relationship or whether that was just something he would have liked.
None of my business anyway. I was just
that's fine. It's a wonderful woman, and we did everything together and with others as well. It wasn't just us, but eventually the news came, and I returned home to look after this place. Shortly thereafter, I took a wife, and we had a son. My son being Harthol. He was a fine boy, and from a young age we showed him the ways of the sword. We ensured that he was ready when the time came to forge his own path, for him to go out adventuring and continue with tradition. And he went out one day when he was a man, and he did something that no Zymorven has done for, as far as I know, centuries. He returned to the hall before it was time. It's not uncommon for the Zymorvens to return home for weddings or funerals or, family business, but he came home willingly. And he didn't come home alone. He came home with a wife. And what an evil creature she was. She was mean-spirited. She was, as best I could tell, a thief. I did not like their relationship. This was against tradition, but he would not hear the words of his father. He told me that he did not wish to follow in my path, that whilst he wanted the house and whilst he wanted to one day be Lord, he did not wish to continue his adventuring. in a fit of rage one night, I threatened him to cut him off from the will, to cut him off from this home, and that he would not see a penny, nor would he see the house. He didn't like that. The next morning, neither he nor his wife were found in the house, and they took the glaive as well as some money. They ran from here like petty thieves. Very much a lifestyle that she was promoting to him. And at this point, the doors slide open and Dirk walks in with how many of you is there? There's 5, 6. He walks in with 6 lemonades. Nice lemonade.
Ooh. Standard like yellowy one or like a pink lemonade? What are we talking?
No, a yellow one. Yeah, it's a typical fantasy lemonade. And he comes and sets them down, and he backs out. You take a sip of the lemonade, and it's a little bit on the sour side. Like there's certainly not been enough sugar been put into these bad boys.
There's a food colour in there.
Yeah, it's bright. It's bright. It's like, you know, when you get the glow sticks and you crack them in half. It's like that. And he says, so yes, they. So as I say, you are late by a few years.
Who was the woman?
I'll be brutally honest. I did not take enough interest in her to retain the name. I had hoped that by threatening him with his inheritance, that would be enough to knock him out of his stupor. But I sadly misjudged his emotional state, and unfortunately, I lost.
Well, I suppose it's about time that I tell you some tales about our adventure then. Now we got these delicious lemonades.
Taking a sip, screwing his face up.
But, well, rather than me tell you stories about us, why don't I tell you about a recent story about Ursula?
Let me tell you some stories about us. Rather than tell you stories about us.
Well, I thought that he may like to hear stories about Ursula's adventures, especially her most recent ones when she helped protect the town from giants.
Oh, she's still adventuring then in her own way.
In her own way. Yes, I suppose when the town needs, she doesn't help but heed the call. Such is always the life of an adventurer, you understand?
You've mentioned to me, when you first came in, you mentioned giants, and you're now mentioning again that Ursula and presumably yourself were involved in an altercation with the giants. Is there something going on? Are giants creating problems?
Well, I mean, giants have always created problems, haven't they? Recently it does seem that they are kicking up a bit more fuss than normal. Like, no, you don't often see giants attacking villages. But,
They're attacking the villagers, are they?
yes, I mean, I think that's why Ursula sent us up here to talk to you about the best way, perhaps, to slay giants.
We found some dead people on our way here. Heavy indication they were killed by giants.
I wish I could give you the weapon. If Ursula was a wonderful woman, she was a wonderful judge of character, and if she sent you here for this, then I truly feel that she thinks that would be the best option, would be to give you the weapon, and I swear to you I would have handed the glaive over to you with all sincerity, but as I say, it's not here. The best I can do is...
Can I insight his sincerity?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, fuck it, natural one. That's not
the best that I can offer is that I know that they made their way to Neverwinter. I received not long after our Harthos and his wife left. He wrote to me to said apologise, but the letter never really apologised. It just explained why he did what he did and the anger behind what he did. But I understand that he was in Neverwinter. He suggested that he was staying in an inn there called the Turtle and the Hen. That's the best I can do. If you really want the glaive, that might be the next place that you investigate to see if he's still there. That was some time ago. I've written to him a number of times and I've not received a response. He may no longer be there. I do not know. He may just be ignoring me.
Well, if we happen to be going that way, I mean, perhaps the weapon may be useful against these giant uprisings for whatever reason. Would you like to talk to your son again? Would you like to reconcile with him?
If you see him, if you meet my son, please tell him his father apologizes. Tell him his father was wrong. Tell him his father trusts his judgment, despite the fact that he proved me right that night.
Do you have anything we could take to prove that you support us taking the weapon? Like a letter or an heirloom or something?
Yes, I think I can give you something. Just stay here for a second. And he potters off out of the room through a different door than Dirk's been coming in and out of. He goes through to another room, and you hear some rustling around, some movement on the other side. And he eventually comes back in, and he hands over a pendant, and he says, "This was his late mother's, who died about 10 years ago. It's a pendant in the shape of a swan." And
he immediately. Wait, has he handed it to me yet?
Well, he's just sort of handed it. He's sort of holding it out to show you as a group. And he says, "This was his mother's. He knows that it has huge sentimental value for all of this family, and so he'll know that if you have it, one of two things have happened: either I've given it willingly, or you've ransacked this house. However, this combined with knowing the emotional state of his father, if you tell him the story of what happened, then he'll know that in reality I've given this over willingly." He says, "If you could, absolutely, the weapon is yours. I at this point I've given up hope on. Harthos was the last of this family. If he does not return to this house, then I fear that Zymorven Hall is gone. You may have already noticed the house is not in particularly good repair. I've given up, quite frankly. I've given up personally. I've given up on the house. He was my legacy, and right now I have no connection to him. And so, what is the point?"
I feel like we should say something really meaningful to this man to try and. But he's sort of got a point, hasn't he?
We'll do our best to get your son to try and fix his relationship. If anyone knows anything about daddy problems, I'm your guy.
Listen, I would, as an old adventurer to some current ones, I trust and believe that you will do your best, but I also am a realist, and right now I do not.
Oh, you're selling the place?
No, that's real estate. I'm a realist. You're thinking of realtors. I'm also a realist to know that life does not get better, and so I do not expect anything from you. If you can,
we're all hit with one level of depression.
Nah, I'm going to turn around to him and say,
Life does not get better or worse, my good sir. It just gets different.
You know what they say? They say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, but put slightly more sugar in it next time.
Yes, and Dirk, does he have his own sort of quarters or
Yeah, that would marry.
Yes. Well, I say quarters. He has his own room in the house.
Quinch points up to the wall. Is that the family crest, the Zymorven family crest?
Yeah. So now you're looking at it. You see, you do see, although this was never actually explicitly mentioned, but you do actually see that there's a shield on the wall. Two halves. So left half, as you're looking at it, is red. Right half is yellow, and then across the middle is the picture of a glaive.
Harthos.
Yeah. Yes.
I hope you will allow me this honour, and I will only do so with your permission and with your willingness. But I'd like to carve the Zymorven family crest into my very special item. I've got a potato that looks like a bum. I'd like to carve it into the potato and take it with me as an homage to your life and to your troubles, if you will allow me to. It's something I'd like to do.
Is Quinch going to start doing potato prints everywhere? Is that what's going on?
And do you have any macaroni pasta?
I guess that I can't stop you doing that. That would be right now. That's probably the only legacy I can ask for this house, is to have it engraved into a potato. Anyway, and he sort of looks out the window and he sees it's getting dark. And he says, "Unless you need to rush away, this large house is empty these days, with just myself, Dirk, and maybe Mary."
Her actual name is maybe Mary.
No, he just doesn't know whether she's there or not. He's just sort of. There's plenty of rooms if you wish to stay the night before setting off in the morning. Then you're more than welcome. It's the least I can.
I just remembered. I have a request.
Okay.
Do you happen to have a spare cart?
We don't need a cart at this moment.
Yeah,
We're gonna get to use fast travel for like the first time. It's gonna be incredible.
There's no harm in asking.
No, we don't. I've only got the one that Dirk uses when he needs to travel to Silvery Moon to do some to run some errands. But other than that, no, we don't have a spare one, I'm afraid.
Yep, fine, okay.
We would be absolutely privileged to stay here, and it would be an even greater privilege for me to make you a special cocktail in the morning with breakfast. Well, Dirk can make the breakfast.
A morning cocktail, lovely. Okay, he says, well, that's wonderful. He said, please do stay, and of course we have food, and we'll share with you what we have. And he rings the bell again. Eventually, Dirk arrived in the room, and Harthos says to him, he explains to him that you guys are going to be staying for the night, and if he could ask maybe Mary to set up, if she's around, to make a meal for you. Thanks for listening. Make sure you don't miss out on the Circus's next crazy antics by hitting subscribe on your podcast app of choice. And in between episodes, you can always find us on social media by searching Dice and Desire on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're in our 3rd year now, and if you want to help us grow, you can do so in a number of ways. You can tell a friend, because word of mouth really helps us get our name out there, or you can review us on Apple or Podchaser to help with our visibility. Finally, you can donate to our Ko-fi page to help us take the show to the next level. All links can be found in this episode's description. And never forget, sometimes it is a dog licking the tree, yes?
Are you looking for a D&D podcast with a dark side? Something more like Game of Thrones and less like Monty Python? Tale of the Manticore is part dark fantasy audio drama, part solo D&D RPG. There's no plot armor here. The dice make all the important decisions. Join me as I resurrect the excitement, wonder, and emotion of old school D&D. Made for a mature audience, Tale of the Manticore is both a fiction and a game. It's the story where chaos rolls.